Okay. Let's just get everything up and running here. Never sure if I got that starting notification right. We'll find out. If someone has a better way of seeing if you're currently streaming, please let me know. My current approach is to just pull myself up on my phone and hope for the best. So. Yep, looks like we're good to go. Just give it a minute for people to click in on the notification. It is your strat too. Okay, good. Then we're in a good spot. How are we doing in terms of audio for the background music there and my voice? Got to work on that as well. Seems fine. All right, I'll take it. So just to say it out loud, we're going to start with development updates, stuff for the recordings. Make sure we get that covered. Then I'll switch over to a couple of Reddit comments and questions that I saw and was asked, and then we'll jump in again with the candy posts. I've been trying to find, there was one we talked about last week that I got a couple of DMs about, so I would like to revise how we handled that one, but I can't find it. Can I search by somebody, by user? It was by Sphere, right? I know that. No, I'm not sure. Well, it'll come up or it won't. But anyway, let us take a step back and talk about some development updates. And then we will get to it. So there have been no actual changes yet. So nothing I'm about to say is live on the site, but I do want to still spend some time here to talk about the stuff we have been working on in preparation for the next release. So let me scroll back to a week from today. We have a channel where everything we do is through GitHub. It's all on a repo there. We all push and pull to and from that. And so we've got a little channel that says every time somebody does something, so I can just kind of see what we've got going on here. A week from today is the 25th. Okay. So, one of the bigger things actually is one of the first things that was done in this past week. We're adding a toggle that will allow you to select that the current game that you're in is your final game. We've had a couple of requests from players who were in casual, didn't realize that they were still considered for ranked at the same time. Well, knew they were being considered, but knew they were going to stop after that game. And so they were playing casual, got matched for a ranked game, and then had to go. So then they voided the ranked game and left their casual game, so they didn't get either of them. So they're saying, if I could just say, hey, I'm in this casual game, I want to stop playing after this, stop considering me for other games. So we're working on a branch with that. At the same time as that, we are adding the same thing for ranked. And so for ranked, it's not quite the same, because if you're in a ranked game, you're just in the ranked game, you're not being considered for anything else. But if you are in a ranked game, there are other players waiting for you to finish your games. We have a big system that's behind the scenes forcing players to wait for a certain number of players in their tier. That way players get shuffled. You don't have the same 8 players coming out and going back in over and over. And so we're adding that button to ranked games as well, so that if you are done after this game, it will not make other players wait for you, because there's no reason to have them wait if you're just going to be leaving the queue after that game. So that was the first thing that we did last week. Let's see what after that. We are still working on some updates to the physics engine. That's going to be a larger project. I don't know if that's going to be in the next release. We'll see where things end up with that. It's a pretty large change, if you can imagine. We've been using the same physics engine since the game was created, pretty much, with some minor tweaks here and there. So upgrading that is a lot. After that, a couple little bug fixes we've found, things to do with active games being matched with players instead of vice versa, which I won't go into the details on, but fixing stuff like that. More physics engine stuff. Some fixes to the void system. We've been getting some more complaints recently about players voiding a lot of games. Some people aren't aware, so I'll go over that too. We do have a system that penalizes players who miss a ranked game. You currently get a re-queue penalty, so you can't re-enter the queue for a certain number of minutes. That number of minutes increases depending on the number of prior voids that you have, but we do have some improvements to that system to make sure that it's being applied consistently and fair for everybody, so nobody can get around that penalty, and hopefully that will cut down on players choosing not to show up in a ranked game. So some updates on that. Then we've got, well, I had an update on my bots, but I won't go into detail on that here. It's just I finally finished crunching all the data that I needed, and I need to set aside about 5 days for my computer to just kind of do that, taking all that data and plugging it into the actual bot. So I'm going to be trying that out sometime next week, but I can't do much else on my computer while that's happening, so I've been working on other things instead. But that's been going on too. We've got more void stuff. Last game thing. Oh, automatic regions. Yeah, this is a big one. So one thing we see a lot right now is a new player will join the site and they will click casual, be a sunball maybe, and they'll just sit there. And if they're from a region where they don't have very many players online, say US West, Europe, Oceania, and they select automatic, it just selects the closest region to them. If there are no games there, they just kind of sit there and they have nothing to do. Sometimes they select mini games as well, they get put in. More often than not, they just kind of sit there and don't end up playing a game. So what we're changing is that if you have automatic selected, it will expand your region selections until it finds a region where a game can be created. So you might not get a game with good ping, but you will get a game if there's something happening anywhere on the site. And so I think that's the right way to go about it. I think it's what players expect to happen when they have automatic selected. So hopefully that will be a big improvement there for the new player experience. Some auto scrolling stuff for groups going on there. A bunch of group settings related to gravity on the way that I won't spoil, but things that existed way back on the old map test servers, kind of the new Compti era, and a couple things new on top of that. So I'll wait till the release to really go into detail on those, but definitely some good changes on the way for groups there. Also some changes to power-ups we've got coming up, but again, I won't spoil those, but things to do with the timing of them, rolling bomb changes, all group stuff, nothing to the base game. And just a couple other of customizables from there, which are exciting. Some session related things. We've been having a lot of problems with players having multiple tabs open, so we've been working on not having those be issues, just kind of tracking down what the sources are, rewriting the parts of the code that rely on race condition stuff where one thing might happen a fraction of a second sooner and that causes things to be out of date. So we've been putting in a lot of fixes there. Player counts in launchers. Right now, if you are in the queue and it says like 6 players waiting, 8 players in game, whatever, if you get sent to a ranked launcher, it does not currently include you in any of the counts. So it looks like there are fewer players online than there actually are. So players who are in a launcher are now going to be displayed as in a game on those counts, which I think will help with that. No, Siri, that wasn't for you. Map shuffling. So we have a system right now that selects a random map for ranked, and we found a discrepancy in how the random selector is working. So it is a random selector. It's written exactly how you would expect a random selector to work, but it's not actually selecting maps randomly. It's favoring certain maps over others, even though it's a random selection. So we have a new way of selecting maps randomly that will actually be random, and that should be good. So that is the short version of everything we've been working on since last Friday. If you have any questions about stuff, feel free to ask. But yeah, the conspiracy theories are true on that one. But yeah, we'll keep working on stuff. Obviously, we have about 20 open branches right now, trying to get things finalized for the next release. So we'll keep working on that, and we will keep you in the loop as we go. So skipping ahead to some Reddit stuff. I had one question in the post that I put up for this stream that I want to address from Anam. It said, ranked EU is not happening without European League Tag Pro support. And since nobody's ready to take over, EU is dead in the water. Completely true statement. Most Euros are not interested in North American ranked because the ping to Chicago is unbearable, and as a result, they have stopped playing. We need a New York ranked server if there's any hope of keeping EU alive, or an Icelandic server. So, I've had a couple thoughts on this for a while. I think I've shared some of them here and there. How to get Europe back online is a hard problem because, yes, you could sell out and you could say, okay, move everything over towards the East Coast or to Iceland or something, but does that reduce the experience of North America enough that it sets America on a downward trend without doing enough to set Europe on an upward trend? So how do you balance those two things? And the New York server has been one of the main requests. Even before ranked players were talking about trying to get Europe having New York added as a European server so that players selecting EU would still get pulled across to North American games. We tried a couple things early on. It didn't have great implementation. To be fair, some of those were early on in the joiner days where we didn't really know what we were doing with the joiner. Thankfully, we do have a pretty good grip on what the joiner is and how it works now. But back to the original question, can we move North American ranked over to move North American ranked over to New York? My answer currently is no. And the reason that the answer is no is not because I don't want Europe getting back online. It's that I don't want European players queuing NA ranked with the expectation that they can also get EU ranked with that queue selected. So the way that the queuing works, it takes the players who are available, puts them into a game, sends them off. If you're in a North American ranked game, you are not being considered for European matches. That's just how it works. But if you are in a North American casual game, you are being considered for North America or for European ranked games. So what I would hope players will start to do if you're European is queue for US East casual, where games are running pretty much all the time now, back as the same as they were before the ranked release, and only select European ranked. And what that's going to do, the way the joiner is set up, it will instantly prioritize anybody who has European ranked selected to the top of the queue, and it will do everything it can to make a European ranked game from the players that it has. So all you need is 8 players with EU ranked selected, and then whatever else that's not North American ranked, and it will be pulling you into a game. It's not perfect, but it doesn't change anything about the North American player experience. It doesn't alienate West Coast players because they have bad ping to the East Coast as well, same way as European players do have to Chicago. So please just try it for a couple of days. Select North American casual, EU ranked. If there are 8 Euros online, it should start generating ranked games for you guys without having to change anything and without having to play on Chicago. So I'd like to at least see that tried before we try some more extreme measures. And obviously there's more to be done in terms of marketing and getting people on board with all of that, but we need ranked to be stable. And watch Balanka's stream if you didn't get that whole spiel, the fireside chat that we had. But so it's a thing we're thinking about. It's just that moving North American ranked to New York is not the solution that I see for this problem personally. So if you disagree, get in my DMs. We can chat about it a little bit more. But that is where I currently stand on that. The other Reddit thing that I saw recently, I think everyone saw it, was the post that went up yesterday. Ranked killed Tag Pro. Just admit it. Change it back, please. I'm not going to spend too much time on this because I'd like to get back to the canny stuff, but I just don't agree. I don't know how to say more than that. People are complaining about queue times, which is absolutely fair for when ranked originally went out, but I think a lot of the people who are complaining right now don't understand that they can queue for casual, and it's the same as it was before. You were not getting European casual games before ranked release. You were not getting West Coast casual games before the ranked release. Now you are getting US East and Central casual games pretty much the entire day, just like you were before. There might not be as many concurrent games, but games are spawning with just about the same wait times as you were having before the ranked release. There are some other complaints about not seeing certain players online and things like that. I don't know if we can really do anything about that because the players who want to play ranked are going to play ranked. They're not going to show up in your casual games. We can't force them to play with you in your casual games. That's a player choice thing. Top comment there, hard killed the game in OCE. Again, maybe the initial release did some damage there, but to say that we have done 6 years of zero progress fixing matchmaking, I spent a year and a half fixing all of the problems that Oceania was reporting, which is it was too little too late, unfortunately. So that's more on the marketing side of things. We'll get back to that when the game is ready for it. But I don't know, if you think ranked killed Tag Pro, I don't think you understood where Tag Pro was heading without it. So, okay, that's enough dumb stuff. Let's get back to what we're actually here for, which is watching me type poorly on Canny posts. So I've been trying to find and failing to find that update. If we stumble across it, we'll stop on it. If anyone remembers what it was called, please let me know, because it was the something to do with tag pros and flag carriers, and it was like a whole game mode thing, saying that if you had a flag and a tag pro, you should be popped by like your team, like a free for all. Was it free for all? Maybe that was the word. Aha! We got it. All right, so so I got a couple of DMs about this because I didn't quite understand what it was going for initially. I thought this was asking for a game mode where you select one setting and it does both of these things. But after a little bit more discussion, and for those who didn't see it before, it's a setting where everybody can kill everybody else with tag pros, and if they're holding flags, it's existed in a lot of events. So this should not be a combined thing where everybody has tag pros and everybody has flags and killing each other and all that. It's two separate feature requests. So the first half of this request is that if you have a tag pro, you will pop both the enemy team and your teammates on contact. And I actually like that feature a lot. I think that has some room to be an experimental feature that could potentially work its way into actual CTF games. So that's one half of it. Tag pros kill both teams, even if they want to or not. And then the other half is that flag carriers are popped by both teams. And so that's the same thing in the other direction. If you have a flag, you can be popped by the enemy team. You can also be popped by your teammate. And I think that's also a pretty cool thing. I don't think that one has quite as much room to make it into any sort of experimental capture the flag meta. But I'm really interested to see if the tag pro one could be applicable. And it could also obviously help with this feature request. So we're going to rewrite You Hate Both. Well, I want to see how it works. I'm not saying anything's guaranteed. I just think it'd be cool to try it out. So I'm going to put these requests in now, and then we will move on to some new stuff. So let's bring this guy over. New issue. Allow tag pros to pop both teams. Pubs would be a nightmare. Yeah. Any change like that would be jarring at first. So in private groups, add a setting to the tag pro power up option for tag pros to pop both teams. With this setting, a player with a tag pro can pop enemy players as expected, but would also pop friendly players on contact. Okay, so that's a pretty straightforward feature. It wouldn't even be that hard to implement. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Granted, it's definitely a nerf to the tag pro power up, so I'd be interested to see how it plays in a competitive environment in that direction. So that's an enhancement there. I think that's a good enough label to leave. Oh, relevant candy post. That's right. That's right. Forgetting my steps here. Okay, this was Free For All was the name of it? Yeah, Free For All. Relevant candy post. Boom. Okay, so that's up there. So now we can, oh, we have to do the other one too. So allow flag carriers to be popped by both teams. And then we want to say that this is related to, oh gosh, related to requested with that one. If a player has the flag, they are popped on contact with enemies as expected, but also popped on contact with teammates. No change to rolling bomb behavior, etc. And then still the same relevant candy post. And this is an enhancement. And that is a much more doable thing. So now that those are up there, now we can change this to planned because we've broken this into two separate features. Features, one for Tag Pro to pop both teams, the other for flag carrier to be popped by both teams. It's not, I'm going to copy this to my clipboard this time. I will learn. Yet been assigned to a developer, will be included when time allows. Boom. Clipboard copied. All right, we're in a good spot now. We're gonna put that somewhere, so if I'm copying other stuff, let's get one of these guys up. Notepad. Boom. All right, now I got that. Moving on. Oh shoot, where did I start? So I'm gonna find where I finished up last time. We'll keep going from wherever that ends up being. And yeah, so any other questions or anything, let me know. Otherwise it's gonna be this for a little while. And chime in whenever. Where did we stop? Tab complete for disconnected players. Yeah, I don't understand that one that much. AFK system messages should display the user's name and the color of the team they are on. Does that not happen? Let me pull up a replay real quick. I'm curious now. Oh, I need to find a game where a player was AFK. I don't know if I can do that quickly. Well, it's not going to be public. It's not going to be a ranked game. It would be a casual game, probably. If I can't find one in the next 10 seconds, I'll give up. Nope, I give up. If someone has a replay with an AFK player, let me know and we can come back to this, but I don't want to sit here just clicking through replays for an hour and a half. Indicator on scoreboard if a player switched teams. So I guess this is a request if mid-game a player switches, you want them to be marked as such at the end of the game so that you can see they switched. I mean, I don't have anything against it. I just don't really see what this adds, in truth. Yeah, I don't think I have any strong feelings on this one. I'm gonna skip by it. Also, for those who were in the chat last time, I did try to add a couple emotes. I don't know if you have any more fun ones I can add in, but threw a couple things up there. Implement a mailing list of new Flare releases for Tag Pro events. It does have the red-blue colored exclamation point icon to the left of the name at AFK. Oh, it does. Okay, good. So we got that covered. Mailing list. That's a lot of work. I don't want to talk about that right now. Video audio setting checkbox missing. That's a bug. I feel like I saw some of these last time. Pups count. Yeah, these aren't new things. We saw some of these last time. Where's the new stuff? Go on. Here we go. This one's in progress. Okay, Peppy. Okay, new pop idea, gun. Self-explanatory. Gun power-up where you can shoot 3 bullets. Non-mouse users can cry about it. So I don't know how this would work. I think this would be more of like a similar to a Tag Pro power-up kind of thing. So I'm gonna skip over to this one here because I think this is more of a tile type, and I think this could work for something. So self-explanatory. Oil power-up where you spill slippery oil on tiles. I think that instead this could be a these pictures are funny. I don't know if you guys can see these at all. I think an oil tile type would be something interesting to explore. But sorry, Peppy, I'll come back to this later. I don't know how to dive into those right now. Fixed positions and non-scoring option. So add a configuration option to make Mars balls immovable by locking them in place on a specified tile. So that just sounds like making a tile that is Mars ball shaped, that is static, which is definitely a doable thing. So I think we'll stick with that for the suggestion that we make. Let's take a look at other Mars ball requests that we have real quick. Yeah, we don't have anything like this, so I think this is at least worth putting a ticket in for. So we are saying, well, so the Mars ball already exists as a tile. That is, like if you're a map maker and you've made a map, you know you can click on the Mars ball, you can place it on the map. That's how it's loaded in. Right now you have to trap it if you want it to stay in one spot. You have to build walls around it in a way that keeps it immobile. But I think this request is saying instead of having to do that, they'd like a free floating, well, not floating, in that case it's static, but like an alone Mars ball on the map that's not going to move, but it's still going to bounce as if it was against a wall on the other side. And I think that's perfectly doable. Add Mars ball option to be locked in place instead of free range. How's that? So relevant candy post is here. The non-scoring options is an interesting thing as well. I'm not sure how to go about that. See, if it's not moving, it's not going to score anyway. So I think those kind of cover each other. So I think it would be a group. It would be a groups option, right? You want Mars balls locked in place. It wouldn't be a map option because it can't be a separate map element. So I think it's going to be. Yeah, add groups option for Mars balls to be immobile. Immobile. Spelling. Hello. When selected, Mars balls are locked into. Yeah, I think it's the same. Yeah, that's what I get out of it too. When selected, Mars balls are locked into the same location for the duration of the game. Physics. Bouncing remain unchanged. I.e. make the Mars ball a static tile. Easy peasy. All right, and this is going to be planned. Oh, here's my copy paste. Request for static Mars ball group option has been added internally. Aha! Look at that. All right, tiny Mars balls. Same person. Okay. I don't know how this would work, because the Mars ball is a static thing. Like, it's always the same size. I don't know if there's a way to make them not be that size. You think their number 2 is basically a different feature request, an NF map with a free floating Mars ball, so they want it to move around, but they don't want it to score. Oh, I see. So yeah, I remember Homer J had that map where it was free floating, and they tried to set up like spikes to stop them from being able to get into the end zone areas, so that they were always in the way, but not actually a scoreable item. So that, yeah, that'd have to be separated out. I guess, yeah, just disable Mars ball scoring could be its own feature. That's not hard to do. So that would be the same relevant candy post. Add group setting to disable Mars ball scoring. Yeah, okay. Self-explanatory, right? If a Mars ball rolls over an end zone tile with this setting enabled, do not add caps to that team. That's that covers it well enough. I do need to go back and say edit comment, as well as a setting to disable scoring with Mars balls. They still move, but won't do anything on end zone tiles. Aha. Okay, that looks good to me. Tiny Mars balls, I think I need to come back to this one. I don't really know how to adjust this right now. It's, I think the whole way that Mars balls are built right now in the game is that they are a certain size. I don't think there's a way to change what that size is. Although, I don't know. I got to think about that one more. I'll come back to that. Mini boost. I think this is covered with the Juke Juice boosting feature now. Which, yeah, if it's for racing, you would say that... Actually, that'd be really interesting. I didn't think about that as a racing feature. Where's Balanka? Get the boosting Juke Juices in to racing. And then make them pretty weak, so it's like a 20% or 30% boost. And then you can sit on that. Hello, Bloons Warmaster. Yeah, so I like that a lot, actually. So, but this is unrelated to the current post. So this is feature currently exists under the experimental group option. Experimental settings group option. The boosting Juke Juice feature should allow for this. I'm really interested to see how that works with racing. If that works with racing, I think it'd be a lot of fun. Okay, find out ping before joining game. Yes, we have the ping script. I forget the name of that script, but it's a script where you can ping all the servers and then see what your connection is to each of them. I'm not sure where the best. I guess if you added this somewhere, it would have to be in the profile settings. Like we currently have that that joiner selection. Let me just show you guys what I'm talking about. We have this thing down here at the bottom of settings. So I think if we had like additional information, so there's multiple servers per region. That was the problem. So you have like US East, your ping to Florida and your ping to New York are going to be wildly different depending on where you are. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm going to leave this one untouched for now because that's just kind of, like it says already, scripts can cover that. But that would be an interesting thing to explore, though. All right. New power by damn mini. Power where you become very small. All these peppy ideas are throwing me through a loop here. I'm not sure. I'll come back to this as well when we get some of the easier stuff out of the way. Mega honk. No, not doing honking. I already talked about honking. Got ball honk on me for that. Choose your game format, random, or select neutral flag. I'm a little confused about this. I feel like we have this already. Anyone know what this is talking about? It says option to choose your game format from either random or to select neutral flag, dual flag, hockey, egg ball, other game modes. Yeah, it has to be for pubs, I guess. And I guess the answer is that we're working on that. We just need more players before we can add more game modes because we're already towing the line right now, splitting people into ranked and casual. Yeah, I guess I'll leave that one as well. Pixelated snow on the homepage. That would be nice. Not what we're talking about right now. Chat box. Okay, here we go. I'm pressing enter in the chat. Previous chat shows up in a scrollable box. No distinction between old and current messages. Okay, so put a line that says you've read to here. Yeah, I can get behind that. That sounds doable. Let's see. New issue. Mark in chat box which messages have been read and which messages are new. So that would be an enhancement. We've got the chat box improvement is the name. Okay, relevant candy post. There is currently no distinction between messages that... Well, I guess everything's been read, though, is the problem. Is we coming to play if you had scrolled up, I guess? Is that what they're talking about? It's got to be that. Have been read and messages that are new if you have scrolled up and then back down. Add a horizontal line beneath anything that had faded off the screen marked. How would that work? Because you've seen, it's not like they're new messages if they haven't faded yet. Like they're just, you were just looking at them. Oh no, okay, I see it now. So it pops up and now you've got this whole chat log and you're saying, okay, which ones like just came in, which ones fade out. But then if something fades, does it move above the line? Like if you have the chat box open? Or I guess you would just have this, no, you would just have the line be static. And then when you close it, everything might have faded out and you would get a new line. Then, yeah, okay, that's fine. So add horizontal line beneath the final message that was read. Also, when opening the chat box, add the same horizontal line between the oldest non-faded message and the newest or the most recent faded message to distinguish or to mark older messages. Do not bother adjusting this line if a message would have faded while the chat box is open. Yeah, okay, I think that makes sense. That's a reasonable request in my eyes. So we'll say that's planned, and we will, request has been submitted internally. Oh, don't type it. Ha. It's the age of efficiency. Look at that. All right, scoreboard becomes cluttered when many players leave. I mean, a little bit, yeah. I don't think there's a great solution to that. When some players leave, it becomes difficult to distinguish the current player count. You shouldn't be using the scoreboard as the player count. It should be the little indicators at the bottom. So I'm not sure that's worth addressing, but let's see what else they have to say here. The names of players who have left are displayed in the same color and font weight. No, aren't they faded and they're italicized? And a strike through? I thought they were like very clearly marked as not. Hold on, now I'm doubting myself. Oh wait, it doesn't show in replays. Right. I don't know. I don't think that's how it works. Am I wrong? Am I missing something? I thought they were very clearly marked as not in the game anymore. I think the script they're using might be messing with that. Highlight them red. We could do that. I don't know if I want to make it too obvious though. The whole point is to not draw attention to those players, but like still have their stats there in case anyone was curious. And then obviously to keep the report and the mute buttons there. That was the real reason those were added. A divider's interesting. Kind of a cutoff that says, okay, here's the players that were in the game. If you go below that line, these players did not finish the game. I don't hate that as an idea. How would that look? I think that, yeah. Kick likes horizontal lines. They were they're asking for the line here too. I think I'm okay with a bold line between the two of them. I think that's subtle enough to be worth it. Add a heavier line between players who did and did not finish a game on the scoreboard. If I'm missing the point, please say something. Relevant candy post. Players are having some trouble differentiating players who are active and from players who have quit. Add a thicker, heavier, whatever word you want to use, between the two categories to assist with this distinction. Boom. That would be an enhancement. That would be a pretty low effort fix. And then we can mark back over to here. Coming at you from a random McDonald's in Oklahoma. Welcome, Timmy. Good to see you. All right, we've got planned feature to add a clear line between active players and players who have quit. Has been submitted internally. Boom. Making good time. Keep it going. A reset button for group games. That's an interesting one. I don't know if we could trust people with this. So I guess it would be, what would be the use cases for this first? Let's talk about that. So if you're in a game, a group game, and you want to reset every player back to the start of the game, that might be useful for map testing is a potential option. For lag outs, I guess, but I'm not sure that would be a replacement for just going back to group, right? Because right now, the reason I'm going down that path is that we already have a map testing mode feature where if you click, I forget the key, I think it might be, is it R? I think it might be R. That resets all the map elements back to just spawned. So if you're a map tester, you can just reset everything and test all the boost routes and all that stuff. Yeah, sorry, Grant. But I don't really see what resetting all of the players would do for this. I'm gonna leave this open. I'm gonna add a comment. What possible use cases do you see for this feature? There is currently the option to reset all elements, but not players, in map testing mode. And if Bambi has a good reasoning for that, we'll come back to it and we will go from there. So I'm not really against it, but I just don't really see the why for something like that. So let's keep going. All-time stats leaderboard. I don't want to spend too much time focusing on the rolling 300 right now. Ranked is more the focus from a stats perspective. Oh, I think we actually did this. On the leaderboards, show you and your placement at the top, so you do not need to scroll down to find yourself. So let's just go to the leaders tab for a moment. I think this is talking about rank. So you currently have you on the side here, and if you scroll down, it shows you where you are. Is this? I also have to keep in mind this was added in January of 2025. This might have been before we added some of the. Yeah, Grant, you got the same conclusion as I did. When did rank come out? When was this ticket made? Yeah, so I think this is covered now. So we can mark this as complete. A snapshot of your stats are now displayed on the right side of the ranked leaderboard. That's good enough for me. Show statistics of flares, total number, percentage of users that have them. Interesting. The problem that I run into with suggestions like this is how accounts are counted. So if you think about what you're trying to get at with this proposal kick, I think, is that if you have 1,000 players and 50 of them earned this flare during an event, you want to say, okay, 50 out of 1,000 people have this new flare. But what if somebody today creates a new account and they don't have the flare? Now you have 50 out of 1,001. And now what if 100 people made an account today? See, the percentages would get smaller and smaller and smaller as more players join the game, but nobody else had access to that flare, and a lot of those players don't even play the game. So you would have to find a way to sort all of the players that have ever created an account to just the ones who are active, and then alternate accounts. I think there are too many variables that would get in the way of this being a number that means anything, really, because every single flare would be like 1% of people, because there are a lot of accounts out there that have no flares and they wouldn't be anything. So I think you would just kind of have an asymptote towards zero for everything except for the 6 flares that we offer new players now. So I think we'll skip over that guy until we can think about that a little more. Search player based on degrees, win rate, last game, X days, account age. Ugh. I don't like that. I'm gonna move on. Woof chat. I don't know what that means. Twitch flare for streamers. Yes. That's a definite yes. So we have some soft plans. We haven't moved too far along on this yet. But things like linking your Discord and /or Reddit. I'm not as hot on linking Reddit, but definitely Discord to your Tag Pro account. I think linking Twitch could also be a thing without all that much difficulty. It's the same kind of auth process. And so adding a flare while somebody's currently streaming, I think that would be really cool. Not a required thing, but like while you are active, if it just gave you a little flare because it could see that you were streaming, I think that would be a really, really good addition. So let's make a ticket for that. Streaming flare, you say? Yes, I do. I do want to find, we have a different ticket open already that has to do with this linking. I just want to make sure they're connected when I make this feature. Shoot, where is this? Here we go. Just want to make sure there's nothing private on this page before I show it real quick. Sorry, there's some private stuff on this page, so I can't show you guys, but I will say it's related to that one, number 34, and active makes more sense. Half the time someone's streaming chess. Oh, I think that's the slightest. I think he plays chess while he's waiting for ranked games to happen, which I I don't really mind too much because you still got the Tag Pro category. I think it would be anybody streaming who's got the Tag Pro category selected. We do have the ability to remove streamers from the streamer list if they are not streaming Tag Pro or if they're doing something inappropriate. Mods have access to that. It's never really been a problem, but I think just adding a check there so that they don't get the flare if the mods have banned them from streaming. I think that's fair. Add Twitch linking, or allow Twitch accounts to be linked to Tag Pro accounts and flare. Well, let's just leave it at that and then say additional considerations. Streaming based achievement flares, maybe? Flares, question mark? Not sold on that. Flare for streaming while the stream is active with the Tag Pro category selected. Category selected. Definitely this. So I think it would be like a stream 5 times, like earn a streamer flare kind of thing, or stream for 10 total hours, earn a streamer flare. It wouldn't be like a players based thing. You can't say like, oh, you need to get like 30 subs. That's not the kind of thing that we're trying to get people to promote themselves for. We just want people to be streaming the game. So I think it would be time based or number of streams based, not followers or subscribers based. Because we want to be fair to people who have smaller followings or are just getting started too. That's something that could expand a little bit more once we get like the base part of it done. So I think we'll keep it simple to start with, and then if that becomes a thing, we can look into ways to grow it from there. But I think just getting the foot in the door on that one is good. Nope, didn't link the candy post. Hello. Twitch flare, Twitch. Relevant candy post. There we go, save, okay, good. We're gonna say planned, we're gonna say linking Twitch accounts to Tag Pro and flares earned for / while streaming have both been submitted internally. And then the usual. Oh, I should have, this should be an exclamation point. Let's be cheerful here. Come on. Okay, that looks good to me. Keep it going. Make sure I didn't miss any chat here. Active makes more sense. I think half the time I see. Yeah, okay. I wasn't gonna name names, sorry. Okay. Games should not count as a loss for the MVP. If a player is at the top of the leaderboard and is on the losing team, the game should not be counted or should be a failed save attempt. I strongly disagree with this because all you're going to do here is promote stat hoarding. Players are going to fight teammates for pups, fight for returns, not hold their contains properly, stuff like that, just to get on the top of the leaderboard every time. And the top of the leaderboard does not necessarily mean that you were the top contributor in that game. Hopefully with some stat improvements on the way, stuff like that, we could change that. But as it stands now, I don't think the scoreboard is anything reliable enough to be affecting win rates or things like that for us. So no, I'm going to say win rate, or sorry, not win rate, leaderboard position is not currently a strong enough indicator of performance to the degree that it could replace a loss. With future scoreboard improvements, this may change, but as it stands now, this is not a viable feature. That's going to be that. Award unsuccessful save attempts / wins to players who switch teams. That one does make sense. So this one's saying that if you join a game and you are up 2-0, or maybe let's say you're up 1-0, you score again, but right as you score, you realize they had a player who was AFK. So now you're up 2-0 and it's 4v3. You switch teams to the team that's losing. So now it's still 4v3, but you're on the team with 4. And then the team that you were just on scores and you lose the game 3-0. Even though you were on the winning team, you were nice and you went to the losing team, and then you get the L. So it's saying that in that situation, instead of you, who was being nice and switched teams, taking a loss, you should get an unsuccessful save attempt because you tried to save the other team. And I think that makes plenty of sense to me as a request. So I'm gonna go ahead with that. If I'm misreading that, let me know, please. But I think that is a good change to casual. Let me just make sure we don't have anything similar to that real quick. Yeah, I don't see anything like that submitted already. So let's say, well, we need to think about it a little bit more, but let's get it started at least. Award save attempts to players who switched onto the losing team. So the one consideration right now, we have a feature that will give you a save attempt if you join the game and it's tied and the other team scores pretty much right after you join, so that you don't get the joining as they cap and not getting a save attempt thing. That was fixed about a year ago. Are there considerations with this feature with that in mind? I'm just trying to think through. If you're able to switch teams, you can only switch teams, I believe, if you are winning, right? You can't switch teams if you are tied with the other team, so I don't think that would get in the way. So I think it would just be, if you switch teams, we know that you switched onto the losing team, so that's going to be a save attempt no matter what. But then if your team comes back and you're winning at some point, like you're winning by 2 and then go on to lose it, you would lose that save attempt the same way that it happens right now in casual games. Yeah, okay, so all we have to do for this is when switching teams, if the team you switched onto is losing, set the game as a save attempt the same way we do when a player enters a game from the joiner onto the losing team. And that makes perfect sense to me. I think that's just a common sense addition. That would be an enhancement. And I think it'd be a pretty easy fix too, actually, thinking about how to do it. So I'm gonna mark that as effort low as well. Relevant candy post. Was there a second half to this feature before I submit that? No, they just get the win, the normal win. Yeah, okay, good. Grab that post real quick. Relevant candy post, boom. Create. I'll say this is planned. It will raise win rates by a few percent, I bet. Yeah, probably a little bit, but I'm totally okay with that because it's going to encourage people to not just win a game 4v3 the whole time. It's going to encourage them to switch. So I think that's a good community-centered suggestion there. Ticket for save attempts to be awarded when switching onto the losing team has been submitted internally. And then the usual outro. Good suggestion, Bald Eagle. Make pizza the default respawn warnings. I don't know. I feel like blinkers are fine. This is one of those situations where I don't really have an opinion at all. I see 4 upvotes, so I'm not super inclined to do anything here. I think I'll leave that one alone for now. I just don't really see the difference. The wizard system. A cold booting player classifier used to create 2 matches at the same time. This is a lot. This is a lot. I don't think this is really the right kind of thing for this stream. I'm going to look into this later, and if it has merit, I will get into it next week. Pizza feels way better to me. Kind of shocked people didn't know it existed. Yeah, that's fair. People don't know that there are options for... Well, I think that my reaction to that, though, is not to change what the default is. It would be to add to the new player onboarding process, which respawn tiles do you want? Because right now we have... for those who don't know, when you create an account now, we've added a feature about 1.5 years ago where when you load into the site for the first time, create an account, it takes you to a page where you can select your reserve name and select a free flare. So any of the annually recurring flares, they get to pick one of those to have for themselves. They pick whatever they want. They continue. We take them to a texture pack selection screen so they can pick whichever one they like, and it kind of shows people that there are other options for how the game looks, so people don't just load into Classic by Lucky Spammer and go, ugh, and then quit the game. So they can at least see they have options. And then after that, you have the key press selection screen. And so those 3 are the only things that you get. And then there's a pop-up that says, hey, if you want to change your settings in the future, click on the profile settings button and go from there. I don't know if it would really make a difference, or it wouldn't make it worse to just add in what respawns do you like, but you would have to show previews of all of them. I don't know. The other problem is, do players know what respawns are? Like, if you've never played Tag Bro before and you're just creating an account, you don't have an opinion on this. You're not going to feel strongly one way or the other. And yeah, you're not going to be able to tell what that really is or what that means. So I'm not super inclined to go on that yet. So we can come back to that later. But yeah, what is a pup is the actual, yeah, it's just unknowns for players who have never played before. So I think we'll wait on that one. Let map makers choose power up and boost respawn times, also control of gravity well variables. So we actually have this part of that in progress. Power up respawn times already exists. Boost respawn times also exists. Wait, what? Am I missing something here? Boost and respawn, those are things. Those exist. Control of gravity well variables, that's different. That's a new thing, but they want it cooked into the map itself? Oh, no. No, that's not, that's not viable at all. The map exists to tell the game what the map should look like. That's how map data works. The game decides how the physics and the everything are going to happen once you get there. There is an old system that is long gone that allowed things like gravity was defined in the map settings. Potato flags used to be defined in the map settings. That was not a reliable way of doing anything, so we completely gutted that, and it's all controlled by the game itself now. The map just says, here's where the walls should go, etc. So yeah, I'm going to say no on baking these into the map, but I think gravity well variables is an interesting one. We have a couple of gravity things in progress right now, so I'm going to wait and come back to this after a couple of the things have happened there behind the scenes, because I might be able to address this a little more directly. On Grant's map, boosts always spawn in 5 seconds. Yeah, no, I don't like that at all. I think they'd want it similar to like portal cooldowns. Yeah, I mean, there's something to be said for that. I don't like it though, so I'm gonna move on. Give Sunballs assigned numbers. It would be nice to give Sunballs assigned numbers that would keep until they close the game. I don't know how doable this is. I mean, the problem that you run into is that even now the game's not massive. Even now you get numbers on the back end where it's like the 15,000 Sunball of the day. Do you want like your Sunball number 15,000 joining your game? I feel like that would mess up the visuals. It would mess up the name length thing. It would be jarring for me, frankly, to see Sunball 15,000 in my game. I think, I don't know. Are Sunballs still that much of an issue that the numbers need to be kept track of game to game? Like, you have the personal mutes, you can see if it's the same person again. We removed chat for anybody who's played more than like 50 games or whatever the number is. I don't know. I don't see that much of an improvement with this here. The improvement that we do have on the way that's not related to this feature at all is with marking new players as new, and I think that will be really good. So you can say, okay, this player has a little icon next to their name. I know that they've only played like between 0 and 30 games ever of Tag Pro. I think that will be a good thing, and if they don't have it, you know that they're not new. But past that, I mean, all Sunballs are kind of the same now. They don't chat. They're just kind of there. And if you don't like them, report them. And if you don't like them again and you report them again, it'll tell you it's the same person. So I don't know. I understand why people want. I understand why people want stuff like this. I just don't really see the need for it in the current state of the game. I'll leave that open. I'll wait for some more thoughts on that. I think I might be missing some of the point on that one, so I'd like to hear a couple more things. Keystrokes per game might be an interesting player stat. I agree. I think that would be interesting. Do we have something like that already? Let's see. We need to consolidate all the new stat stuff that we're doing. Yeah, I'm gonna wait on this one as well. Sorry, I keep skipping over a bunch of these. I think this one would be easier to address when we have a stronger base of the new stats system that we're working on, because that's been kind of put on pause while ranked and all that gets going. So bring back crypto donations. I'm gonna skip anything money related to. I don't feel like. Okay. In-game ranked queue denotation. Create a way in casual games to denote which players are in queue for ranked games, so that if players that choose to play casual games know which players are in danger of dropping. I am interested in this one. I don't really understand what this would change about how you're playing. I will say this was submitted before the most recent round of changes, so for those who are not aware, when you're playing in a casual game and you are matched with a ranked game, you are given a 65-second countdown. The countdown then disappears, and during that 65-second countdown, anytime you pop, the game tells the joiner, hey, there's somebody who might need a ranked game and they're popped right now. Do you have any replacements? And if the joiner says, oh yeah, I got one, it'll send them in and they will swap out with you before you respawn. So if you have been dying and then ending up in ranked games, that's why. It's a system to make sure there's a minimal downtime between one player leaving and one player joining. If the joiner cannot find a player to replace you with, you stay in the game, you respawn, you continue playing, and all is well. So where this does have some merit is at the end of that 65-second timer, we don't let the joiner know, we don't wait, we just say, okay, you waited long enough, we couldn't find your replacement, this ranked game has to happen because there are 7 players waiting for you right now, so we're going to yoink you out and send you over. That does occasionally lead to players being dropped in the middle of a play, sometimes like with the flag or stuff like that. Not many, hopefully not any soon, but it's definitely a thing. So I think what they're asking for with this feature is to be able to know that somebody might be removed in the near future so that they're not caught off guard by their teammate disappearing. And it's not a bad request. I think what it would have to be is not marking them the entire game. I think that would be a little bit excessive. But if you're marking players who are ready to go to a ranked game, like they've been matched for one, they just haven't been pulled out yet, I think if they had a little bit of an indicator, it might be for the best to know that that player might get pulled out. I would probably only show it to their team, though. I wouldn't want the other team trying to use that strategically to like juke at the guy who might get pulled out of the game kind of thing. I don't want that to become the meta in casual games. But I think marking players who are going to leave for ranked to their teammates is a good feature request. So I'm going to make a ticket for that. If I'm missing the point, again, as always, let me know. But I can see why that would be a beneficial thing. Mark ranked ready. We call it ranked ready on the back end. Mark ranked ready players on the client side to their teammates only. Due to the timing issues that will occasionally pull a player out of a casual game mid-play. instead of while respawning. It would be helpful for teammates to know that they are about to have someone quit their game. E.g., player is on regrab and then quits. Bad. Gets the point across. So I don't know, would it be marked on the scoreboard, marked on their, probably next to their name if I had to guess. Similar to how we have the AFK icon, I think we should have a similar icon that says this player might be pulled out of the game in the next 10 seconds or something like that. Similar to how we display AFK pending indicators, add a, stopwatch or something like that. Stopwatch or similar item next to the player name to indicate that they are going to be pulled out of their casual game shortly. Yeah, I think that's a good request. I think that would be beneficial to players in the game too, because the players don't want to get pulled out mid-play. It's not like anyone's like, oh yeah, I can't wait to leave my teammate 4v3 while I'm sitting on regrab, but sometimes you're just in the best place you can be. Yeah, so definitely showing to team only. Did I not say that here? Teammates, yeah. Note should only be visible to teammates, not to the enemy team. Yeah, good points. So in-game ranked queue, let's add that ticket here. Relevant canny request. Got that, create. Then we've got planned feature request to mark players who will be leaving for a ranked game. To teammates only has been submitted internally. Outro. Boom. Good request, Kaiser. I think that'll be a good addition. You have been disconnected to the joiner. I have been able to play any game every time I try. Yeah, I think this is fixed now. Focus patch in a recent release. If you see this again, please open a new ticket. I also was wondering the status on the hot dog flare. It's a bit late. I think we can get the hot dog in for next year, but definitely not going to add an annual flare for a thing that already happened. That's all right. It's taking forever to get into games now. I think this has also been addressed. I think this was more of a complaint post, which is valid at the time it was posted. Wait times for casual have returned to pre-ranked levels. Try it out. Joiner chat / ranked joiner chat. So we almost did this. We were like, I built this while we were making ranked. I built the whole chat thing and we had it all set up. It was good to go. I'm trying to remember what we ran into some problem that was basically a catastrophic issue that resulted in us removing it entirely. I can't remember what the problem was though. I racking my brain trying to think of what it was. Because I agree, I thought it would be cool to chat with people who are also waiting for games, but shoot, what was it? It's not coming to me. I'll leave this one untouched so we can come back to it when I do remember and get into it. But I promise there was a reason that we don't have that, and it was a good reason because I wanted this myself. All right, moving on. Scoreboard for Castle Siege to reflect the number of pubs. Ooh, that's, I mean, it's not a bad request, but the way that mini games work is that they run them like a casual or like a private game. So it grabs a map, it grabs the settings for that map, and it sends players in. There's no customizable scoreboard stuff. We can't have map specific scoreboards at this time. So it's not a bad request. There's just nothing we can really do. There's no path for us to get from where we are now to implementing this at all. You would have to make it an event, because events have custom scoreboards. Like, think about like the rate, like the towers. If you go up the tower, it marks how high you went, like the maximum height reach kind of thing. But yeah, we don't have any way of doing that with non-event games. I mean, we do have plans to bring events to private games. I think we talked about that last week a little bit, and there's a ticket open for that. So when that becomes a thing, maybe this would become viable. I'm not too sure how that would translate, so I'll leave this one alone as well. After game rematch, I don't think this is the solution to the problems that they're describing here. So as games become harder and harder to find, which we hopefully have addressed since April, yeah, I don't know. I don't think this is a solution to wait times, because if you waited to get into a game and then you ask for a rematch, all you're doing is you're making sure that people who are still waiting for your game now aren't getting into a game, because you just skipped them to get back in. So it makes your wait shorter, but then somebody does it to you and you don't appreciate it anymore because they got into a game, they rematch, and now you're waiting for 20 minutes because they kept playing each other over and over. So I don't think this is a solution for wait times at all. What else did they talk about here? Skip it for minigames. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like you get back into a game often enough that marking it as a rematch, I don't know. Am I missing the point on this post? Anyone see anything I don't? I just don't really see how this would improve the experience for anybody. Yeah, it's definitely not a solution for wait times. I can guarantee that. So now I'm gonna close this one. If anyone disagrees, speak now or forever hold your truth. So rematching games with the same players makes the wait time shorter for those players, but at the expense of the players who did not get into the original game. This is not a viable means of addressing wait times, but we are doing what we can. See recent release notes to reduce wait times across the board. Okay. I mean, I see where they're coming from. A rematch button is not a bad thing if you have so many players that wait times are not an issue. I think that's where that would become viable. But as a means to address wait times, no, I don't think that's a path we can go down. Players joining game late should have their scoreboard value set to the average score of all players instead of starting at 0. So this is an interesting one. The issue with it is that we don't have only cumulative stats anymore. It's time-based stats. So the current left 3 columns are your total offensive and defensive stat lines. And yes, like Quicksilver just said, it's using niche, and niche is a per minute stat. So if you join late and you don't do anything, yes, you're going to have a low score. But if you join late and you do a couple things, you're actually going to be inflated, because relative to the time that you played, you did more in that game than maybe somebody who just had a wishy-washy 6-minute game and didn't do all that much. So we kind of already do this, just not quite in the way that it's being suggested we do it. So I'm going to mark this as completed. The current scoreboard calculations utilize, I don't know why I chose that word, minute-based stats. Wow, typing again, jeez. Utilize minute-based stats, which will allow late joiners to regularly appear high on the scoreboard if they contributed accordingly. I think that covers it well enough. Whoever caps on 3v4 auto switch teams. Huh. I don't love this because if you the scenario I'm thinking of right now is you have a game where it's 2-0 and it's 4v4 and the third cap of the game is about to come in and they score and it switches you. Would that count as a loss for you? I don't know if that'd be kind of funny. Or maybe a better scenario, it's 1-0. You come in and like 5 seconds left on the clock, somebody rage quits, you score, it switches you over to the other team, and now you lose the game, even though the game was going to be over anyway. And I think that would potentially cause more problems than it solves. That would be pretty funny if that happens. Excuse me. Yeah, I think the other save attempt idea was a better one for the switching than forcing it. When is the next event? We don't currently have any event plans. We're waiting for the big three right now. Big three being ranked release, which we're pretty much done with. I talked about a couple of things at the start of this video that we're finalizing there. Then the in-game shop, which should be pretty quick in the grand scheme of things. I'm thinking no more than a month or two for the shop to be up and running. And then the Steam release. And after the Steam release, then events are back on the menu. So we're waiting on events for now. But yeah. So Grant, you're saying combine this with the save feature from earlier. I don't know if this needs to be combined. I'm more inclined to toss it out altogether personally, just because I don't really know what is this going to add that one doesn't add. I'm just not a fan of forcing people to switch teams in general. It's not my thing. I don't know. I'm gonna close this guy. I don't think this is okay. I can't tell. I'm reading here. He said easy. I guess I should. Whatever. Moving on. I'm gonna say closed. Other. Try to be nice here. We have other suggestion. No. Alternate. There we go. That's the word. Alternate suggestions around save attempts to promote players willingly switching teams will be prioritized when time allows. See, I gotta find the other one. Shoot. Where was that? If I search it up here, hopefully. There it is. There we go. Yeah, I like that one a lot, Grant. I forget if we covered that one here or if I have even adjusted that ticket, but there's another 4v3 solution that has to do with rotating players. Yeah, rolling sits is what it was called here. Where'd that go? Was it not just on my screen? Oh, there it is. Okay. I think this solution is very, very cool in my mind. Where you have a 4v4, somebody leaves, it's a 4v3. The next person on the team of 4 to pop does not respawn until somebody else on their team also pops. So you only have 3 active players at a time against the 3 active players on the other team. Where this one was held, because we didn't have a plan, we don't have a ticket made for this one yet, was how do you handle things like overtime? If you have a respawn timer that is 30 seconds and you pop, and then your teammate pops and their respawn is only 3 seconds, does it put you in and then make you wait 30 seconds, or does it put your teammate in after 3 seconds and put that, like which one do you prioritize? And then if you have a tag pro and you pop and it's 4v3, does the tag pro get transferred to the person who was going to respawn, or do you just get held and your tag pro goes to waste and your teammate goes off without it? So not saying these are not solvable problems, but at the time of this suggestion, we didn't have answers for that. We were looking for more information. And I think you can see right here, this is me asking, how would you propose handling these? So if we can get answers to that, I have no problem moving this ahead with a ticket. But that is why this one hadn't been put in. But I think it's a pretty cool thing. So Grant, if you have a solution, I'm all ears. I'd like to hear what you have to say. You think it would decrease swap rates again? Well, no, maybe not, because if you're on the team 4v3 and you're sitting and you can't get in because nobody's spawning, maybe you switch teams to the other side to get the save attempt, and you still be waiting over there because it's still 4v3. Yeah, good point. I don't know. Oh, pub OT respawns going away? Yeah, that's also... Yeah, you're not wrong. We should probably revisit OT and casual in general, but that's not the not this conversation. But yeah, so that's why that one had moved ahead. I think I'm gonna keep not addressing that one for now until we can get a better answer there. But that's a pretty cool alternative that I remember reading in the past there. So where were we? Oh, just got to it anyway. What? How do I keep losing my spot this easily? This is ridiculous. Where was I? Man, I have no idea where I was. Oh well. Well, this one's kind of related to the conversation we've been having, so let's... If a team has a bunch of quitters throughout the game, change it to a save attempt for the remaining team members. Oh, do I have the dates? Am I scrolling? I don't know. Whatever. If a team has a bunch of quitters throughout the game, make it a save attempt. So this is saying that if 2 players quit, it's converted to a save for the remaining 2 players. This is interesting. As a moderator, the first thing that comes to mind here is, would this encourage players to bully their teammates out of the game so that they could get a save attempt because they didn't want to get the loss for somebody making a bad play? And I don't want to say that that's what I think would happen, but I kind of think that's what would happen at some of the worst times of the day. I don't know if anybody in the chat has any thoughts on that one. That's my current concern. Yeah, I just don't know if this really, like, if we're encouraging players to switch teams onto the team with fewer players and awarding them a save attempt for doing so, that should mitigate the concerns of being at a disadvantaged team and needing a save attempt. Because if your teammate quits and then you get a new teammate back, yes, you're still losing the game, but you're not down 2 players. I don't think that you really have lost anything if we're encouraging those switches in the first place, to the point that you would also need a save attempt. I think that the moderation concern I addressed is a bit more relevant there too. So yeah, I think I'm going to say that this is not a bad idea, but I prefer what we've landed on with the awarding save attempts for switches. So I'm gonna go with closing this one and direct them to that post as well. Hopefully I'm making sense there. Idea is not opposed. However, the issue of imbalanced teams should be better addressed by rewarding players for switching onto the losing team with fewer players. See blank for details. I think that is good enough for me. All right. Yeah, this is the oldest. Scrolling down. None of these look familiar. I remember some of these from last week. Ready, check, plan. Okay, we started there. We're close. Gun, yeah, okay, it's all ringing bells. Fixed position, okay, there we did that. That was today. Mini, honk, yep. All right, there we go, we're back. Reset button, wolf chat, yeah. Despawn, respawn pizzas. Chat. Okay, we made it. Boom, okay. Times 2 points when you have a pup active. When you have a tag pro active, you get a tag. You should get 2 times the points. When you have a rolling bomb, you get a cap 2 times. I don't agree. Sorry, Bort. I feel like if you're getting power-ups, that is your in to getting more points over players who didn't get the points. I assume they mean scoreboard points. That's kind of what I'm interpreting this as. It can't be captures, because then what's the tag pro thing have to do with that? Yeah, I'm gonna go with the no on this one. Sorry, Bort. Earning power-ups or winning power-ups is a means to earning additional points in game. This does not need to be duplicated. Yeah, okay. Numpad 7 cannot be assigned. That's nothing. 13 character names. Yalpa got spammed. Look at that. Yalpa, you're a spammer. I don't really care about the 12 character, but it's been that way forever. I don't really have a reason to change it, so I'm gonna go with the no. Yeah, ban and delete. Sorry, Yalpa, you're done. Lucky spammer, 12 characters, by the way. Keeps threatening to delete the game if we do this. Okay. There we go. Add clutch time to pubs. So yes, I think this is going to happen pretty soon. The one thing that this is waiting for, and I forgot to mention, this is another thing happening behind the scenes at the start. We are officially committing to the switch for clutch time to not reset the game clock between clutch and overtime. So right now, if you are in clutch time, the timer turns green, it counts up for however many seconds clutch time lasts. Maybe that's 10 seconds, maybe it's a minute and a half, whatever it is. When clutch time ends, if it ends in a capture and transitions to overtime, it resets the clock to 0. And this was originally done so that you could tell how long clutch time was, how long overtime was. That was the only justification we had at the start. The downside that we quickly realized was that it really screws up pup times. So pups are spawning right after clutch time starts, probably within the next 5 to 10 seconds. And then if clutch time ends 15 seconds after that, now the timer's at 0, but power-ups are spawning in 40 something seconds. Like it's hard to calculate when the next power-ups are going to be. I keep doing this a lot, sorry. It's hard to know when the next power-ups are going to be because the timers it's not a minute anymore. You've lost all semblance of time with that, and that's more of a downside than knowing how long overtime is an upside. So we're gonna remove that entirely, say that if it's clutch time, the timer starts counting up. If it transitions to overtime, it just continues with that same timer. So now it's just like overtime power-ups were before clutch time was added, where it's gonna spawn at 5 or 10 seconds of clutch, and then it's gonna spawn in overtime at a minute and 5 seconds or 2 minutes and 5 seconds, etc. So I think that's gonna be a lot more intuitive for players. And when that is done, then I'm gonna bring that over to casual and have that be the case in both ranked and casual games. I think it's the right call in my mind. So removing kissing in general, or if clutch time is active. So this has nothing to do with kissing. Kissing is only removed in competitive games. North American League Tag Pro has removed kissing. That is a group only option right now that is not implemented in ranked, and it's not going to be implemented in casual either. So this is just clutch time. And I'll say planned on this one, and then will be added in, and actually I'm gonna put this in progress because this is happening pretty soon. Upcoming release. Hopefully that explanation made sense. Ranked win rate in progress, yep. Different maps for different player counts in casual games. So I'm trying to figure out the timing of this one. May 17th. We don't allow 1v1, 2v2 games to happen in casual anymore. It's 3v3 or it's 4v4. And that's it. So if they want to prioritize neutral flag when you have a 3v3, I guess there's a case for that. I'm just not really sure. Like, I feel like I'm missing the point on this one. Help me out here. Because a lot of the time you'll have a game that starts 3v3 and then quickly turns into a 4v4. So I don't really know how you would... All this would do, it would make casual into just neutral flag games half the time, which I'm sure some people out there are okay with that, but it's not really what we're going for. I'm going to close this unless I'm missing something here. And I'm going to say that casual games now only spawn with 6+ players. Fewer than 6 players are only eligible for mini games. Yeah, hopefully I'm not missing the point there. I don't really see a path there. Add the option to start the game at any time on the clock rather than in increments of 1 minute. I see. So my concern with this, and it looks like they addressed that, so let me actually read before talking. Sometimes in private matches, a lag out or something happens to restart around the same time. Instead of rounding up or down, if we could start at the exact time within the normal bounds, power-ups could then start at the next 59. So this part right here is actually the largest issue with that request. So the way power-ups work right now is that you have a power-up respawn timer of whatever number of seconds you've selected, and that is locked for the game. So it doesn't matter what the timer at the start of the game is, whatever your respawn timer is, it's going to be either instant if you have power-ups at the start, or it's going to be whatever that timer is. Whenever that power-up is grabbed, it's going to be that timer again afterwards. So if your timer is 60 seconds, when you grab the power-up, it's going to spawn 60 seconds later. What this suggestion is asking is a custom first power-up delay only, and then a separate regular power-up delay. So it's saying for the first round of power-ups, we want it to be delayed 18 seconds, and then all future power-ups delayed 60 seconds. It's doable. It's not going to be fun to do. And I guess when I get to that point, my follow-up question is this really worth the amount of work that it would take to implement for the payout that you get at the end? And the payout right now is that instead of the leagues having to round up or down a minute, they get to start at exactly the time that something happened. I don't really think that's worth it personally. Lagouts are a problem, yes, but the leagues have their own system for substitutions. Hopefully the servers have gotten to a point where this isn't a super regular issue. There are no timeouts anyway in North American League Tag Pro, at least, so there shouldn't be a back to group mid-game. So the number of times I could see this being used against the amount of work that it would take to make this happen, I just don't think it's really worth adding to the game right now. So then my final thought is that, does that mean that we close it, or does it mean that we make a ticket? Because we can make a ticket, it would sit untouched for probably forever. But it's not like I'm not against doing it. I just don't think that it's worth adding to the game. So I don't really know how to, I don't know. I don't really have a strong feeling on this one. I think I'm going to close it just because, no, I'm not going to close it. I'm going to leave it alone. We can come back to it later. Hopefully somebody has other thoughts on that. Anyway, more audible alters upon entering ranked lobbies. That's a heck of a sequence of words. You can't just have one audible ping after making me wait 20 minutes to find a match and then call me the a-hole. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, so they want more sounds when they have joined a game. I will say there are at least two. I can guarantee that, because there's one when you join the launcher and the second one when you join the game. So you're getting at least two. I guess they want more. This is probably doable. I think you have to... I'm not doing the hand thing. You have to balance people who want it all the time, people who only want it once. So you'd have to add profile settings for notify me again. And then the issue is, do you run into browser security things? Because some browsers are not going to be happy if you're trying to spam a bunch of notifications. They're going to say, hey, yo, stop. You're not allowed to notify my user anymore. So I'd be concerned that this, even if we add this feature, that it would just be blocked by the site. I'm going to talk to Bash about that one and see if this is viable or not. Well, viability will be discussed. May not be possible due to browser security limiting or preventing duplicate notifications. And we'll come back to that when we have some more information. Visual bug for FC during clutch time when an opponent flare grabs. I don't see that they're holding the flag. That doesn't make any sense. When the opponent grabs the flag during clutch time, I don't see the flag carrier as holding the flag. So I just want to make sure they might not realize that it's a different kind of flag. It's going to look like backwards and faded. It's definitely there. So they didn't respond to the questions about more details, so I'll skip over this guy. Refreshing during gravity makes you keep falling momentum. I think that we have a fix either in progress or done for that, but we must have lost track of this ticket in the process. Let me just double check what kind of gravity stuff we have going on. Yeah, we have a ticket for this. It is currently not in progress. Okay, so we do have a ticket though, so let me just add this to the ticket. This is planned. Source has been identified and ticket has been submitted internally. That, and then let me just grab that ticket and add it to the internal ticket so we can make sure we're keeping track of that. Where is it? Oh, it's in the bug reports tab. Sorry. Refreshing during gravity. Yeah, okay, so add this into that. Canny post. Boom. Okay, that's good to go there. Moving on. Tile respawn warnings not stored on server. Correct. Client side is not intuitive. I know there's a reason that we do it like this. I forget why though. Yeah, I can't remember what the reasoning was. I'll talk to Bash about this one and come back to it. There is a reason we do the client side, but this is similar to the other thing about the custom scoreboard. We don't have the ability to customize games right now, but we might in the future. Selecting spectate should not spectate minigames, only regular games. Yeah, so we have some stuff on the way. I'm going to wait to address this one until we have pushed out the next round of changes, because I think this is going to set the stage for this kind of thing to be an option. So come back to that. Provide a message in the game if a player leaves for a ranked match. So I think that this is going to be covered by the ticket that we had just gotten to a couple minutes ago. So we had the feature where your teammate is marked as might be leaving for a ranked game soon. I think that will take the place of this request, because they're asking to say, if I left my game, I want my teammates to know that I left for a ranked game. And I think that if they have that little icon next to their name, that's doing the same thing without having to put it into the chat. So I think I'm going to merge this in with the other one if I can find it, which is always a good time. That was in-game ranked queue denotation. I'm going to say merge this one in, and that way we'll see both of them at the same time. Oh, that really freaked out over here. Did I lose my spot again? I think I lost my spot again. Ah! No, maybe not. Maybe not. Chat. Yeah, okay, we went back to the other one. Okay, that's all it was. There we go. Highlight names on which you've recently issued a report. That's an interesting one. So this is doable. It would require some changes. I think what they're asking for and what I would actually do are not quite the same though. So let's talk through that first. So what they're asking is for players in the game that you are in, if you have issued a report on them, you want them to be marked as having been reported by you recently. Recently would have to be within the past 24 hours because that's the timeline for when reports roll off. What I would do instead, because this would be a little bit disorienting, I think it'd be a little bit annoying, frankly, to see a big highlighted name in the game that you're playing. It would be a scoreboard-based thing, and I think that instead of having you click report, select why you want to report them, and then getting back the notification that you've already reported that player, if we just pre-notified the client that they already have a report on that player, you could just remove the report button or say already reported. And that way, instead of having to click and click and click 3 clicks to get to that notification that you've already reported them, you would just be able to open the scoreboard, see that you've reported them, and then close it. I think that would convey the same information without being as disruptive, and it would save you those extra clicks to know that it's the same person. So I think I like what they're getting at here. I think the implementation would be a little bit different. So I'm going to make it my way because I get to do that. And then we'll add it in. So let's get the ticket going here. If anyone has thoughts on the way that we indicate that, let me know. My current plan is to just remove the report button. No, my current plan is to replace the report button with an already reported thing. How would that look? Because right now it's report/mute. If you just changed it to mute, would that get the point across well enough? Or would that be a little bit too ambiguous, vague, unknown? Let's start here. Indicate players who have already been reported in game. Feels like people would forget that they already reported Sunball 3 an hour ago. Right, well that's the point. Because they would look at the scoreboard, that button would be missing, and they would know, oh, that's the player that I reported an hour ago. They don't need to know that it's the same person. They just need to know that they already have a report on that player. That's what the request is looking for. So when entering a game or when another button missing is not intuitive. Okay, so you need something more obvious, like an indicator next to their name, maybe like a asterisk or something. I don't know. I like what it's going for. I just don't know the best way to do it. I just need a little more time to think about that one. When entering a game, or when another player enters a game, if the user has an active report on any other user, the new user, in the past 24 hours, it prevents the problem, but I foresee a future ticket of why can't I report this troll? And the answer is you already did. I mean, that's kind of funny in truth, but yeah, I see what you're going for. I guess if you replace the report button with reported, like if you click on report, you do your thing, it changes to reported. Because the other problem I'm running into is length. Like I can't say you have already reported this player because that's going to take up so much space, whereas the report word is this tiny little thing on the scoreboard. So it needs to be concise. And I don't know, I think reported instead of report and not making it be clickable gets the point across enough for me. Guess you could change the report button after you already click in, but that's a bit of a waste of time. Yeah. I'm gonna stick with this plan, and then if somebody hates it, we can come back to it later. When entering a game, if the user has an active report in the past 24 hours, replace the report button on the scoreboard with reported and remove the ability to click that button. This way players will know at a glance instead of needing to click 3 times to be notified that they have already reported that player. Continue adding to the new player upcoming ranking icons through a yellow caution sign. Yeah, I just don't want to draw like that much attention to like. Not all reports are valid. This is the first problem. Like I don't want situations where players are throwing out reports left and right, and then they're like getting mad at this person with the icon next to the name because they're like, I already reported this guy. I don't know. I don't really have a concrete reason against that. I just something in my gut just tells me that's not the right way to go about it. So I can be swayed. I don't know. I feel weird about that as a solution. Whereas just removing the button, like they have to click escape, they have to look, they see it, and they come back to the regular game. Like I feel like it almost ruins the immersion a little bit if you're focusing so much on I reported this player. It's next to the name and all. Like I don't know. It just seems like it's more attention that I want to be bringing to that particular thing. So yeah, I'm gonna go with this, and maybe it will be revised in the future. But I didn't put the candy post. Foiled again. Let's see. Highlight name. Relevant. Candy post. Wait, is the mute function underneath the... I thought it was separate. Oh crap, are they the same button? Forget, I built that feature, I can't even remember how it is. I know if you click on their name on the scoreboard, it will mute them. But is it... the problem is I have a different pop-up because as a moderator, it's a slightly different way of things look for me, so I don't remember what it looks like for non-mods in a game. Oh, goodness. Hop into a group and check for me. Thank you. Let me know. We can come back to this. Because that would definitely change. Ah, darn it. It's making it even harder. I guess with that, you would click on report/mute. Well, you could still change report to reported. And then when you open up that, so they could see it at a glance, where report becomes reported. If they click on it anyway, they still have the mute option, but the report buttons are faded out because they've already reported that player. I guess that would work fine. So instead of removing the ability to click that button, it would remove the ability to click the report button inside of the pop-up. Yeah, I think that would work fine. But if you're able to confirm that, that would be much appreciated. I'll respond to this person in the meantime. Similar request has been submitted internally to indicate without needing to click report that a report has already been added to that player. Okay. Sent in Discord PM. Let me take a look at that real quick. Thank you for doing that, Grant. Appreciate the help. Yeah, so it's one button and it's report or apply personal mute. Yeah, so I think all we'd have to do is remove the section that says reason, select reason to report. Get rid of that entirely. Replace the report button with reported and then gray it out so you can't click on it anymore. And then you can still apply your personal mute or cancel. So that way, at a glance, the button still says reported, but if you still click on it, then it's very obvious that you've already reported that player. So it saves you at least 2 clicks, if not 3, if you're able to pick apart that. And then the other thing that does is it opens up the route for script makers to do stuff that's more obvious. So if you are still like, I don't care, I really want to have that big flashing triangle next to the player I reported, now that data is still provided to the client. So the client can say, okay, with my user script, I'm going to look for that tag that we've added to that player that says that you've added a report to them in the past. And I'm going to say, if that player has that tag, I'm going to add my own custom whatever thing onto their name. So that gives you the tools that you would need to make it more obvious if that's what you want, but it still settles for my more subtle way of marking it for the base game. So I think that's a good middle of the road solution there. And if you disagree, let me know. But let's move on. Make automatic joiner setting put you in servers with games gutting. Hey, look at that. I just did that 2 days ago. I just made that. Okay, so that's going to be in pretty quickly. I guess I didn't realize there was a ticket for it, but let's clean that up real quick. That's funny. Where is that ticket? Here it is. So we had expand automatic regions considered if no players in current automatic selection. We will see players, usually some balls in low population regions queued with automatic selected. It's only giving them their best region. They sit there for a while, maybe forever, don't get a game, and quit. So what we have now with this branch, it's going to add in find games that have at least 1 casual game running or 5 other players queued, not including you. So there are 6, and that's enough for a game. And then it will add regions until it finds one that meets those requirements. And so that way, no matter what happens, no matter where you're connecting from, if you select automatic when you first get there, it will find you a region where a game is happening, which I think is a 2 thumbs up suggestion. So let's add in the relevant canny post here. Put that there. And then this is actually in progress. Feature is currently built and awaiting testing. Will be included in an upcoming release. Good suggestion, I saw. Good. Okay. Remove the play now button. What? Just put them all on the homepage. Okay, yeah. That is an option. Yes. It's a little bit more complicated than that. One of the issues with this suggestion, and this is not a hard stop, we're currently planning on revising a lot of what the game looks like. So I'm not super big right now on changing what things look like on pages that are already established. So that's the bottom line thing, that in the future this might actually be the right way to go about it. The less drastic consideration right now is that when you connect to that select page where you say, do you want to play casual or do you want to play ranked? It opens up a socket connection with the server, and that's fine. It's good because it's sending information saying that there are 3 players in US West. There are 5 games going on US East, whatever it is. Those numbers are not realistic. Where was I going with that? Right, opens up the socket connection. It's sending information back and forth. If we were opening that same socket connection all the time from the home page, traffic on those sockets would go way up because you have a lot of players who just sit AFK on the home page. You have like bots that are crawling through that access the page and try to get information from it, stuff like that. So it would just increase the server load for no real gain right now. There are ways to address that problem. It's not a permanent thing, but that's one of the reasons why right now it's currently on its own page. So we can come back to this. I'm going to keep this as under review, but yeah. Blue wins, blue wins. Tag Pro messages often masquerade as movie titles. What? So they want us to not capitalize the W in wins. I don't think I've ever... Is it not all caps? I thought everything was just capitalized. That's really funny. I'll pull it up a replay real quick. Yeah, look at that. So it capitalizes the W in wins. I don't have any opinions on this one. Is title case bad for that? I have absolutely no opinion on this whatsoever. I'm gonna defer this to somebody else to make a decision on. That's really funny. Under review. To be discussed. That's funny. Okay, thank you for the laugh there, no one. Group setting, make pup times changeable. In progress, correct. Flares for ranked achievements. We do have ranked flares in progress, but that's not what this is asking for. I'm going to come back to that. Variable gravity wells. I think we have a ticket for this. Let me double check what we have right now for gravity wells. Gravity wells, I think, are underutilized. We have a lot of options that could be done without changing the graphics that we have, which is nice. Yeah, so we have a ticket right now. Oh, and it's linked already to this request. So add a private group option to control how strongly gravity wells pull or push. So that is submitted internally. This is planned. Has been submitted internally. Oh no, I typed the whole thing. Oh no. Stop. All right. All right. Pause power-ups during clutch time. That is interesting. I don't think that it works though, because if you think about what would happen if your team is winning by 1 and it goes to clutch time, you could just turtle. And yes, there are turtle protections, but if there's no power-up spawning, it becomes a lot harder to overcome this on certain maps. I think that this was one of the proposed solutions to the timer issue that I talked about a couple minutes ago, where we're saying that overtime should not reset the clock because then pup times are all messed up. I think this was trying to address that. Let's see what this merged in post is talking about. Okay, so this solution is actually exactly what we're planning to do right now. It's dude, ignore him, IMO. It's not very nice. I like Dude McGuy. He helped me make the tutorial that we have right now on the homepage. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the no on this one because we're currently planning to do this. I think this should actually have been merged in to the other one, but that's okay. Current plan involves maintaining the timer between clutch and overtime. Alternatively, it could just be a clutch time balance thing he's looking for instead of keeping timers fixed. I mean, yeah, I see the argument for that. I don't know if it's really. I'm very concerned about that turtling meta evolving if in that situation, because all you're going to do, you're going to have 4 players go to OD, sit around the flag, and then just wait there. I just feel like it turns into a bit of a standoff where both players are just kind of standing, looking at each other, waiting for one to make a mistake, which is kind of how most of the game works in truth, but that would definitely make it less exciting in my mind than knowing that you have that last hold, you have another round of power-ups, you really have an actual shot at scoring. In the ranked games that I've played, at least, I've found much more recently, being down 2 is by no means a death sentence now in the last minute of the game, because you know you can get it with him 1, you got that regrab, you've got a power-up round, you have a very real chance of sending it to overtime. Not a guarantee, it doesn't happen more often than it does happen, but it feels like there's a chance. And I think that if you remove power-ups, that chance would kind of evaporate. And you'd say, you have to make 2 crazy plays now with no real way of getting around it. So I'm going to go with no on this one. I do see the argument for it, just don't think it's the direction that we got to go in right this minute. So we'll leave that at that. Oh, we crossed the 2-hour mark. I didn't even realize. I'm having fun. I don't feel like stopping. And personally, I have nothing else to do for a while today, so I'm gonna keep going. Unless y'all want to go, I guess I got 7 people watching, so that's good enough for me to keep going. The hot dog player, we found it. I will never get to play again. Sorry, Pass. I'm less than a month in being. Yeah, well, the thing is, when we finish all of this, there's plenty more to do. Like, we can work on drawing up hot dog flares, we can work on social media stuff, we can work on actually fine-tuning some of the projects that we're planning. We can make larger specifications for features that we want to build, stuff like that. So there's plenty of other places we can go with this that are beyond just marking tickets as being seen or not. We could talk about like the timeline. We could work on what do we prioritize next. We have, what's the number right now? We have 183 open tickets right now for things that we want to do, but not have the time to do. So how do you organize 183 different things, ranging from minor little fixes to huge game-changing decisions? So I think spending some time going through all of that is also easily appropriate for this stream. So we got plenty to do. Hot dog flare. Kaiser, you bane my existence sometimes. Let me make sure I didn't already put a ticket in for this, and then we can make one now. Hot dog. Yeah. All right, Kaiser, you win this round. New issue. Add annually recurring hot dog flare. Can't believe I'm doing this. Annually recurring hot dog flare. National Hot Dog Day is, when is National Hot Dog Day? Oh, this one's a weird one. It's the third Wednesday of July. So it's not a set day? Is that true? No. July 23rd. It's National Hot Dog Day. No. There are multiple answers here. I'm looking at Wikipedia now. We got... what the heck is that? Informal events. I need a national. I need a solid... It's always on this day. The Boston Hot Dog Safari has my interest here. That's local. So is there no national? There's no National Hot Dog Day? I guess not. Hold on. That could be a hard stop on the hot dog day, Flair. I don't know. Oh, the National Hot Dog and Sausage Council. Okay, what do they have to say about this? No, I can't do. I'll do this research on my own time. I'm not gonna sit here and look up hot dog days. July 4th is your National Hot Dog Day. I feel like that's appropriate. We'll come back to this. I will never... Oh, this is what Plats was saying. I will never get to play again. The matchmaking is garbage. Speak your truth, Lucille Ball. And then they said same. It's the same person. 2 days ago. So, okay. Rant time. People are coming to the site. They are selecting play now. They are clicking ranked only. And then they're complaining that they're not getting into a ranked game, so they want us to revert the ranked matchmaking system back to what it was before so they can get games. That's just what casual is. Just select casual, and it's what it was before. Why is this? I feel like it's pretty straightforward on the site, but we're clearly not doing enough to indicate that that's what you can do. I don't know. I feel like I'm severely missing the point of what people are saying with these kinds of things. Like, please, I'm begging for information right now, because what are we not conveying that says that casual is what pubs were before? Why do people want to go back when going back is a thing that already exists now? If they're just complaining about wait times, it's the same wait times that you were having. If you're in a region that was dead before ranked, it's still dead now. Yes, that is a problem, but going back is not going to fix that problem. So what do you need to see that's going to tell you that casual is quick games, ranked is even games? That's what the whole system does. Please let me know. Okay, rant over. Don't forget to select casual while you wait. Casual games are spawning at the same rate that pubs were spawning before the ranked release. I logged on this morning. It was like 12 o'clock, 12:15 p.m. Eastern, and there were 5 casual games going on US East. 5. All 4v4. I checked all of them. 40 players, all in full games, and it was good. So there's no wait time delay. You're gonna get a game in casual. Just click it. If you're gonna sit there and wait in ranked, that's okay. If that's what you only want to play is ranked, that's fine. But reverting ranked is not gonna get you ranked games. It's just, I don't know. I really feel like I'm missing something critical, and I really actually legitimately want to know what that thing is, but I'm not getting there. Something's not connecting between me and the people who are saying these things. But anyway, nerf power-ups in the sumo game. I'm gonna pause on this one until we have some of those new power-up changes on the way. I think that there might be some more to do there. Prioritize ranked and spectating. So this is similar to the other spectating request that we had about minigames. So this one right here. So I'm going to merge this one. Which one has more upvotes? Hello, fly. Stop that. Fruit fly. I'm going to merge the other one into this one. So prioritize ranked and spectating is the name. merge that in. And we'll be good to go there. Okay, what's next? Did I lose my spot again? Come on. I did. I did lose my spot again. These are last week's stuff I'm recognizing. Reset button, that was today. Wizard system, that rings a bell. That's in progress, yep. We're close, we're close, we're close. There we go. Oh, I was like, whatever. Stats, like rolling 300 for ranked only. You gotta wait on that until some other stuff is moved along. Reverse rolling bomb / gravity. I feel like we had something similar to this last week, did we not? I feel we had a bunch of rolling bomb related changes. We had a whole conversation about rolling bomb stuff. I can't remember where that ended though. Did we have an implosion? A rolling implosion? I don't know. We talked about the rolling bomb detonating when it expires. We talked about the length of the rolling bomb. We talked about the strength of the rolling bomb. We did not talk about the direction of the rolling bomb. So let me bring that post back. So this is what we had looked at last week, and we added in the cumulative RB thing where you get a double explosion. And we talked about how if 2 rolling bombs hit each other, it's twice as strong, but none of that talked about rolling bombs going in instead of out. A gravity ball type power up. Yeah, I think that this is, I mean, it's interesting. I'm not sure how it would work or when it would be used, but it's interesting. So I think it's worth a ticket. I don't know if this really ties into the rolling bomb options though. I guess it would be an invert rolling bomb option is what I'm going to call it instead of reverse. Invert rolling bomb option in groups. And this would be an enhancement. I'm going to leave it separate from this whole ticket because it's similar, but it's just different enough. National Hot Dog Day, what? Similar to, but separate. Can never spell separate. Separate. Did I spell that right? Spell check working? Yep. Add option for a rolling bomb to invert, implode instead of explode. Strength modifiers stay the same, but players are pulled in toward the user instead of out away from the user. Yes, okay. I think that'd be pretty cool. I don't know where I'd go with it, but I like it. Is it too different from a rolling bomb that you would have to call it its own, like would it have to be its own power up, or would it still be a rolling bomb with this modification? Like, can you have rolling bombs and rolling, what do you even call it? Like a black hole? But you already have black holes in gravity wells. A rolling grav well? What? Rolling wells? Does that work? Undecided if this would be a rolling holes. I don't know if I can sign off on rolling holes. A modified rolling bomb or its own power up. I think rolling well is the best I can do. Like, I'll put it in for the joke. Rolling hole. Yeah, okay. And then relevant candy post. Rolling hole. That's really funny. Reverse rolling bomb / gravity. Boom. Okay. And we'll say similar request to either add an invert rolling bomb option or create a new power-up which functions as an inverted rolling bomb has been submitted internally. Save. Okay. Spectate mid-game players from the ranked pregame screen. We're up to 6 days ago already? No way. I guess I skipped a bunch, but yeah. So they're saying that if I'm in a ranked game and there's a question block because a player on my team is still playing, they would like to be able to see in the bottom right corner that game while they are waiting for them. I'm not sure. Well, couple things on this one. Is it viable? Sort of. I'm not sure how viable it would be to have it in the bottom right corner because the whole way that games are rendered is as a whole window. We don't have the ability right now. We could make the ability. We don't have the ability to take all of that and only have it be a piece of a different page. So that part, I'm not sure that would be worth the effort because the other side of it is that if you're waiting for somebody in a casual game to come to your ranked game, the joiner's trying to pull them out as soon as it can. It's waiting for them to pop. It's saying as soon as they pop, I'm going to yoink them as long as there's a sub available. So I don't think they would. I mean, sometimes they're there for longer. Like someone's in overtime. I guess they'd want to see if the player's in overtime. They want to watch it so they know when it ends. But even then, it's like at most another minute. I don't know. This is one of those that I'm like, yeah, we could do it. I just don't really know what it really adds to the experience in the grand scheme of things. Like it's not that it's bad. It's just the amount of effort for the reward that you get out of it is a bit skewed away from what you intentionally played D to delay it. Well, that's on you. Yeah, it feels over. Yeah, I'm kind of with you. It feels over the top a little bit for what it's trying to accomplish. Not a bad suggestion. I don't know. I'm always torn. Like, do I close these ones? Do I leave them open? Because like they're not wrong. Or do I just skip it and come back later? I'm gonna go with that one. That's the easiest option. New map tile, non-player balls. Interesting. I think that this would be cool. Where my head goes is with the bots that I'm working on right now. If we get to a point where they can actually do things, there would be a group option to add a or several balls to the game that you're in. Would there be an option with that to just have them be AFK? And then they just sit there and exist in your game because that's what you asked them to do. Is this different from small Mars ball? Oh, I have to allow this. Sorry, my chat filters are very strict because I was doing the AFK stuff before. I don't think it would be the same as a small Mars ball because Mars balls have different, as far as I'm aware, Mars balls have different physics than players. They're bouncier than players. Like think about if you had a player and you ran into them, you would bounce off a little bit, but not a whole lot. If you run into a Mars ball, you get a lot more of that momentum back, even if both of them are pressed up against a wall. I don't think that the size of the object that you're bouncing off of changes that physical property. So the bounce return would still be a lot higher on a small Mars ball compared to an AFK player. I think even though the size is different, the return there is not the same. So I'm going to leave this one untouched as well. Actually, no, I'm going to mark this as under review. May be valuable as an extension to the player bot project. No updates to share at this time, unfortunately, but will be revisited Wow, she's revisited when there is progress. There. That's a good point. I didn't think about the weight either. Yeah. We can go back to that one in a minute if you'd like. We're pretty much at the end of these ones here, so. Give buttons the hot potato feature. Ooh, I like this a lot. Okay, so this is saying if a player is sitting on a button, pop them if they sit there for too long and don't do anything else. That's really funny. Yes. Yeah, I like this a lot. So a couple different directions you can go with this. You have the turtle detection. Turtle detection says if you're up against a wall and you're not moving, it pops you. You have AFK detection, which is if you're not moving at all, it removes you from the game. And then you have potato flags, which for those who weren't with us last week, a potato flag is very much like a regular flag, but it has a setting that you can adjust in groups where if you're holding it for too long, it will start to smoke. And then if you continue to hold it, it will explode and pop you in the process. It's not an explosion like a Mars ball, or sorry, like a rolling bomb. It just pops your ball and then the boost of your ball popping. But they're asking for basically that hot potato feature on potato flags to be added in on buttons. So if you're sitting on a button for, they said 15 or 20 seconds, it will pop your flag after one. I like this a lot actually, because I think this is really good for the new player experience sometimes, where they come in and they're just like, I'm just going to sit on a button. And that's just what they do. I mean, it's not bad for them to do that sometimes, but it's not something you want them to be doing for the entire game. And that's occasionally a troll tactic for new players. So this would discourage and then absolutely force them to stop doing that because it will just pop their balls. I think this is good. The smoking mechanic that we use to indicate that your potato flag would pop soon could just be ported over for this. Super, super easy to add that on. So I'm going to make a ticket for that. Absolutely. That's a winner in my book. Add hot. No, I don't want to say hot potato. No, I do want to say hot potato. Add potato flag mechanic to buttons. And this is something that I could see going straight into the base game, because for 20 seconds, it's not like it's going to change anything for the meta of players who are experienced. Nobody's sitting on a button for 20 straight seconds in their games right now. So it would really just only be relevant for those newer players. So I think this could be fine as a base game thing. It probably would need a group option to disable it though, because you think about gravity maps, private games, a lot of the times they have button-based progression where you're sitting on a button to allow a teammate to go through something. And actually the request right before this one where they're asking for an AFK ball, I think part of the reason they want that is to sit that AFK ball on a button. So if we added this in at the same time as that, they would cancel each other out and that would not be good. So I think this needs to come with a group setting to disable it if we go down this route. So let me have a relevant candy post at the start of this one because he covers it a little better than I can. Relevant candy post. And then we're saying when a player sits on a button for an excessively long time, add the smoking indicator currently used for potato flags to indicate self-destruct. Holy. Self-destruct. Soon that's the name we call it on the back end. And then pop their ball if they do not leave the button. Timer should be set to 20 seconds for the base game. We'll also need to come with a group option to disable and/or modify the length of time before a pop occurs. The gravity community is often reliant on extended button pressing to progress to different sections of a buddy system or tower map. So this would be very bad to have implemented in all games. Good. I think that covers it. Hopefully if anybody from the Gravity community hears this later and that doesn't cover your use case, let me know. Definitely don't want to mess you guys up with that feature, but I do think it would be a good addition to the game. So that's going to be an enhancement, and good. So let's oh, that's Bald Eagle. Good suggestion, Bald. I like it. Slightly larger feature has been submitted internally, allowing for this request to be modified or disabled in private groups to avoid disrupting the Gravity map community. And then our usual, boom. Nicely done. Good suggestion, Bald. I like it. Multiple tabs lost connection. We just changed something to fix this. So I'm gonna say the next release will include changes hoping to address multiple tab/session issues. So what was happening here was there's something called a session that we don't need to get into detail on, but it carries some information about what you are doing on the site. So say you wanted to queue for ranked, it would add that to your session. It's a lot more complicated than that, but that's the gist of it. If you have multiple tabs open, the process that saves your information to the session can sometimes have a race condition where one tab says, oh, he wants this, and the other tab says, actually, no, he wants this. And if the one that's more out of date gets there last, it can sometimes overwrite new information. So you have new information comes in, old information goes, oh no, what about me? And it overwrites the information that was already there. And now you have settings on your browser that are out of date. So say, for example, like the groups issue that we had a while back, and even more recently as well, players were not getting put into the game that they wanted to be in. A lot of that was stemming from those timing issues where late information was coming in just after new information. And so the game was just using what it had. It doesn't know any better. And it was sending players to the wrong location. So we fixed most of those. We found a couple more small things that we just patched last night. They haven't gone on to production yet, but those will be included in the next release. So the next release will include changes to hopefully address multiple tab/session issues. Please continue to let us know if you experience issues with multiple tabs. Cool. All right. I think we'll finish up these last four, and then I'm going to call it for today. 2.5 hours. Pretty darn good. Add sound when teammate chats in pre-ranked lobby. Huh. So this comes back to the notification thing. I'm not sure if we would be able to, it would have to be the active window, but I don't think there's a reason not to. I don't think there's anything stopping us from doing this. Where would that go in the profile settings? If you think about audio settings, it would have to be notify on chat messages kind of thing. Like just an audio setting to say if I get. So would that extend to games, or would it only be in the launcher? Would you have separate settings for each? Does anybody want sounds when somebody types in a game? I feel like that would be super obnoxious. I feel like they probably just want it in the launcher. So I would say add it for launcher only, make it launcher specific in the settings here. Yeah, I don't know. It's a pretty harmless thing if people want it and it can be disabled. I would probably have it disabled by default, but I don't have any reason not to do that, so sure. Add audio queue when messages are sent in pre-game game launcher. relevant candy post. Add sound. Oh, I'm in the bug reports. It's like, where is this thing? There you are. Relevant candy request. So this would be add a checkbox to the profile settings audio. What's the audio settings? Notify for launcher chat, I guess. Indicate launcher chat. Not sure what to call that. Indicate launcher chat. Disabled by default. When enabled, and when Typro is the active tab for browser security ease. Sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. When enabled and when TagPro is the active tab, do not cause browser security issues with notifications. Send a small, I don't know, popping sound or something. Actual sound TBD for each new message sent in the launcher. All right, I think that covers what they're asking us to do here. So good enough for me. Mark that as an enhancement. I personally wouldn't use that, but if they want it and it's easy to do, I am all for it. I'll say planned feature has, or sorry, request has been submitted internally. And then, boom, okay. Penalty for AFKs in ranked. It happens often when you get into a ranked lobby, someone never joins the game, and it's immediately voided. I've seen in games, or I've been in games where the same player does it back-to-back lobbies because they don't like their team. The nerve of people to do that. So my first question, they're probably not here in the chat, so that's okay. Are they aware that there is already a penalty for AFK players? Because we do have a system right now that your first void, it's like a 5-minute delay. Your second one's like 10, and it gets longer and longer to the point where it's like hours, days, and weeks if you get up to that point of leaving all of your games. So it's for all voids, whether you void from the launcher, whether you void from the game, it counts the same way. And that also comes with a skill knock on your skill level. So you lose skill points and you have to wait before you can play again. So we already do that. If they weren't aware of that, maybe they're just asking for it to be harsher. They do roll off. So if you play a certain number of games, I'm not going to say what the number is because I don't want people trying to game the system. But if you play a certain number of games and you don't get kicked from the lobby, then that number, like the penalty goes down. So if you had a bad streak, you left like 7 games in a week, and then the next 3 months you're totally clean, you're going to be totally clean. Your record's going to be wiped off automatically. So that's all covered already. So I guess, I don't know. Anyone have any thoughts on this? I feel like we're still pretty early on, so some of the more serial offenders haven't gotten their counts up that high, but I don't think there are that many players really skipping out on games either. If we had some examples, I can track them down and see if we're actually applying things correctly, but from what I've been following, we do already do this. Yeah, I mean, 5 minutes for the first one. I think the first anything you do, you should get a little bit of leeway on that, right? Like I forget if it's actually 5 minutes. I can pull up the code for real here for a sec. Let's see. Make disconnect. Here it is. Yeah, so the first one's 5 minutes, and then it ramps up to half an hour, and then 30-minute increments, and then days, and then weeks. Yeah, it's a week if you get to 20 of them. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like we're doing this, but because the thing is, if you make the first one be more or greater than 5 minutes for your first penalty, you're also catching people who actually just missed the game. It's not like the only people who are getting voids are players who don't want to play with their teammates. So you have to find what's that number where it discourages players who want to quit, but doesn't completely alienate players who just, their food delivery arrived and they didn't realize they got the game because they left for a minute and a half. Like there are cases where it's not really malicious, that you obviously still want to cut down on those, but you don't want to over punish players who aren't trying to disrupt things either. Yeah, Halbert, don't forget about your food downstairs. Currently, whatever feels fine, especially as a... Whoops, my bad, I forgot it was cute or something. Yeah, and if they're intentionally dodging, mods do have the ability to manually increase the delay. So if we see that happening, somebody lets us know, and we can confirm that that's what they're doing, we can definitely increase the time. That's very doable on the mod side of things. So yeah, I'm gonna go with system already exists, and penalties increase with repeated quitting. If you are seeing a user who appears to be bypassing this system, please notify the mod team on Discord. Okay, I think that's good enough for me. Only show which power-up is next 10 seconds before it respawns. That is an interesting suggestion. That's a very interesting suggestion, because you know right when it's grabbed immediately, okay, this one's a tag pro low, so you prioritize that ahead of time. Does that change anything if you only find out 10 seconds sooner? Like, do you play differently in the 50 seconds between the previous power-up round and the next one if you know that whole time that there is going to be a tag pro spawning? Does that change how you're playing in that moment? Or does the game play normally and those 10 seconds are nothing because you know far enough in advance of power-ups that you're going to be fighting more for the one that you want the most? Any thoughts on that, chat? That's an interesting suggestion, though. I'm not against it. I'm just not sure if it would change all that much in how people are playing the game. I think I want to discuss that one a little more before I make any commitment one way or the other. Because this could also be the kind of thing that you add as a group experimental settings. Yeah, this could be a group slider where you say, okay, we want power-up indicators to be a minute, 30 seconds, 5 seconds, whatever. You can pick the number that you want. I'm trying to remember how it works now. I think how it works now is as soon as you grab a power-up, it randomly selects which one the next one's going to be, and then it displays that. So you would have to delay when it selects what the next one will be for X number of seconds before. So it wouldn't be 10 seconds before. It would be show indicators X number of seconds after the power-up is grabbed. But functionally same thing. Yeah, how does that work in groups right now? Is it just show power-up indicators or don't show power-up indicators? Let me pull up a group real quick and take a look at that. Holy crap, we have a lot of games going right now. 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 casual games, 3 ranked games. Longest wait time, 8 minutes right now, and they're only queued ranked. Nice. All right, what was I doing? Groups. Private games. Create group. So I can do this on the screen over here. We want we gotta fix this. This is just blah. Hate it. Next pup indicators. Yeah, so it would be enabled, would just be one of a drop down, and it would be X number of seconds after the power up is grabbed. That might be a little bit unintuitive though, because the problem is you can't have the indicator setting based off of the power up respawn setting. They're different settings, so you can't connect them the way that might be the most intuitive while talking about it. So I think it would be, yeah, enabled would be instant. And then you would have delay 5 seconds, delay 10 seconds, all that. And then if the delay is longer than the time on the next power up respawn, you would just say never takes over. So that's good. We can do that. That's very doable. So let's go new issue. Group slider for power up respawn indicator timing. And then we have a relevant candy post, which is here. And then we're saying currently respawn indicators can be toggled between enabled and disabled. Convert this to a drop down with the current enabled functionality renamed to instant and the current disabled functionality renamed to never, and between them allow X number of seconds, 0 to pick a number, 0 to 5 minutes, X number of seconds, 0 to 300, whatever. Side note, while I'm typing this up, we do have a thing on the way where we're all of the time-based settings. So you have like your power-up respawns, this one here, your indicators, player respawns, all that stuff. Sometimes you have options where it's like instant, 2 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, a minute, like all that stuff. We're gonna gut all of that in the future. It's not in progress right now, and have custom timing. So you can say, okay, I want this to spawn after 7 seconds. And so you can just select whatever it is that you want. Even if you want decimals, like it'll be a lot easier to just have the same module that pops up for everything time-based. So you can select exactly what you want. On the back end, doesn't change a thing, but having like a drop down with 300 seconds worth of options isn't really good UI. So we don't have that right now. So we can rewrite how we present time-based selectors. I think that would be best for everybody. But for the purposes of this ticket, we'll keep it as it is now, where it's somewhere between 0 and 300 seconds, and only display the next power type after that delay. Convert this to a drop-down with the current enabled function instant, current disabled functionality never, in between them X number of seconds 0 to 300, and only calculate display the next power up type after that delay. If the delay is larger, equal to or larger, the delay for the next power up to spawn, set to never. Because in that case, by the time you would get the indicator, you already have the power up. Good enough. Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. That would be an enhancement, and that is good to go. Almost done. planned. Request has been created internally as an experimental group option with a slider to determine how long to delay the display of next power-up indicators. And then our usual sign off. Boom. All right, last one. Actually, this might not be one we can do. Show best of all time stats. Yeah, we have some of this stuff. Like we already have the like the leaders tab. You've got your all-time win rate exists already. Best rank achieved. The rank tab's going to have different seasons and all that, so you can see all of that information already. So I'm not sure that's really things. Caps in a game. Yeah, that's I mean, that kind of stuff would be fun. But the challenge there is how do you stop people from gaming it just to get on those boards? Like if you get a ranked game, probably not a ranked game, casual game definitely. You get some players who would just like run up the score for fun on like an Oceanic server in the middle of the night there. And they would just let somebody score like 60 times. And then it's like, well, the stat means nothing now. You have to have like a whole system to throw out the ones that are not valid. I don't know. I don't feel too strongly about this one. I just don't think it would really pan out the way you might hope it would. So I'm going to leave that one alone for now. I think that's this one was a good stopping point here. So almost 3 hours. Jeez. And still 10 of you paying attention to this. That's impressive. So, streaming schedule, I put up on Reddit that I can't put like an actual schedule up on Twitch. So I have it marked right now as every Friday because it's supposed to be Future Group Fridays. But actually next week I am not available on Friday. So I'm going to do a Saturday stream instead. I'll still aim for the 1 p.m. next Saturday. But that will be that. And then the week after that, I'm not available at all. So we're skipping that one. And then starting back up on the 22nd at 1 p.m., I'll start doing every Friday from then on for real. But thank you all for tuning in. Hopefully I wasn't too harsh at the very start of the stream talking about the ranked stuff. Again, if you are a European player and you want to play ranked, I strongly encourage you to queue for North American US East casual only, and then select EU ranked only. Don't select North American ranked, because it will just keep pulling you into those games and you will never get considered for a European ranked game. So again, US casual, EU ranked. I think there are enough of you to start generating ranked games if you're able to follow that. And we'll see if it doesn't work. I'm happy to revisit, go back to the drawing board on that. But I do think that is the best path forward for everybody. So please humor me, give it a try, and we will see what we can do after that. But otherwise, thanks again, everyone, for tuning in. I will post the VOD later if you missed the first half of this or anything with all the development updates. Those will be at the start. And I will see you around. Have a good day and a nice weekend.